Obviously, going into the third week and whatnot, I know the big point of emphasis in your post game conference was really talking about Noel Mazzone's playbook and everything like that. As far as with EJ Dresser and the rest of the offense and Troy, how do you feel like the integration of the system has been coming along so far?
Yeah, great question, right? So excellent, right? So the thing that excites me. So as the week went on, you know, obviously we installed a lot of it last week, but we were using the same terminology as before. So this week we were able to flip the terminology. And right off the bat, you could see a difference, right? The team gelled around it. Everybody felt good about it. And then as the week went on, they got better and better and better at it. There's an excitement in the receiver room right now. I said after the game last week that if you're a receiver, I said this in the locker room, I said, I understand if you're a receiver on this team, it's frustrating right now because we got so many good receivers. It's stupid, right? And so you got to get on the football. You got to find a way to get on the ball. And I know Mazzone's going to do that. And we're going to see how this game unfolds, right? Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns with our team right now, okay? And just I'll say this again, and I'll continue on with it, right? You only know what you can see. And so like if you were to equate this to an NFL season, right, we would have just played 4 exhibition games, right? So we're 4 games in, and we still don't know, right? Considering the situation, we still don't know. And so I'm going to give Dress a win to start right here, and he's going to play in this game. And I feel great about it. I feel great about all 3 quarterbacks. I don't think any of them have been given a great chance considering the situation, but I think he's the one that took it on the chin the most. And this isn't charity work either. Trust me, if we didn't think he could win the game for us, we wouldn't play him. So we really believe that he's a good player. We think he's shown that at other places that he's been, and we're excited to play this football game, no question.
As with Dresser, obviously he came in a little bit later and whatnot. Do you kind of feel like that's a little bit more of the advantage? Maybe some similarities between Mazzone's offense and the offense he came from in when he was with the Rams,
With the
and
ramp, yeah.
McVay. And McVay, do you kind of feel like that kind of gave him an advantage as far as being like more of a young sponge in that sense?
Oh, 100% correct. Okay. I mean, once you've been trained by a guy like him, it's like whether it's him or a John Gruden, any of these guys, if you've been around them, obviously, right, as a player, just learning systems and understanding where to go with the football based on the coverage and all that, it's those are huge advantages for a young man, right? And so I think he has that advantage. He's been around, great systems, great coaches, and I agree with you. I think it is an advantage for him. Now, having said that, you have to be able to pull the trigger, and I think he's shown that under Sean McVay. In his preseason games, he's had really good statistics in a few of those games. He threw the ball very well, and he's had success. And for him, he played on the P squad the whole year, and I believe it was 23.
Yep.
And so for him to stick around that whole year like that, and then get invited back to camp, it's not because he was a bad decision maker. It was because he was a good one, and he made some plays along the way. So really can't wait to see what he looks like playing for us.
Do you almost feel with a younger quarterback, especially, I think he's like 25, probably the same age as EJ, but not at, I would say, less experience playing in regular season professional games. Do you feel like with Dresser that he's not going to kind of overcomplicate the system a little bit? He's going to take maybe instead of going for, 3rd and 16, going for the post route, he might take the check down or a tight end drag that, you know, could go because they're playing some, pretty too high safeties and whatnot. Do you kind of feel like there's in an awkward way, there's kind of less pressure for him because he's not trying to, he's just trying to find his sea legs a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, 100, right? Because I don't think there's pressure on him right now. I think it is what you just said. I think he's the one with the least amount. At the same time, if you know the kid, right, he wants to perform, right? Like you can feel it, right? You can feel it. He wants to win and play well. And I think EJ and Troy, I think they've had a little more pressure on them. Like I think EJ had some pressure on him as well because we traded for EJ, of course.
Yeah.
I think, at the beginning, I mean, we started with the other quarterback that we ended up letting go. And Troy was like number 3 when that was going on. I don't know what made him be the number 3 in that case, but he was. So I really don't know how you pick all those things without letting them battle first and opening the floor up for a battle. And so that to me, I wasn't able to do that because I didn't have the team early enough. But like if I was here day one and the three quarters were in the room, I'd have opened it up day one and made everybody. I don't care if we traded for EJ or not. It doesn't matter. Okay, we're not the Green Bay Packers. These guys aren't making a $3 million, $10 million a year. So it's not like you have to justify it. Like if you pay a quarterback $17 million a year, you're playing the guy, right? So if he's the number one guy in this league, it's not that way, right? You don't have to do that. And so to me, it's just about what this league stands for, which is let them fight it out. Let's see who's the best player, and then play the guy that's the best player. Let him get some video, so he can showcase his abilities.
But Coach, nice to meet you. Obviously, been following your career for a minute. The ability to go the dresser. I asked Coach Turner this with you, kind of simplifying the offense. Essentially, him getting his first professional start and whatnot. How much have you kind of emphasized? And do you like the fact that he's kind of like a raw sponge, like a blank slate? Maybe there's a little bit less pressure on Dresser than there is EJ or Troy.
Well, I mean, there always is when you're the guy coming off the bench, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always less pressure because nobody knows what to expect. They haven't seen him yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think his background too, with Sean and at UT Martin, what he had done in the past offensively, really made it easy for him to adjust to some of the things that I was doing. And I think he's a smart guy. I think he's football. He's got a great football IQ. I like his knowledge, and he picks it up. But to answer your question, yeah, I think there's some truth to that. As far as he is kind of a sponge. He wants to know, and he retains the information really well.
There's been obviously not only in this league but in Memphis, kind of a hot potato effect at the quarterback position. Obviously, it's a position that you want to kind of start developing, seeing different schemes and everything like that. The defense is running. You guys made the decision to go with EJ for the full fourth quarter, good, bad, and indifferent. How much do you think that like Dresser is going to be able to go out there? Are you going to incorporate your QB2 at all and whatnot, or is this kind of like, hey kid, 4 quarters, show us what you got, let's go?
Yeah, I mean, Jim and Coach Turner will make any of those type of decisions during the game, but I never look at it that way. Like, okay, I got this guy for a half and this guy for a quarter, or this guy. I want to prepare them both. I feel comfortable with EJ also. I think he's a really sharp guy. He's got a lot of experience. He's a seasoned guy. But yeah, I go into it like, hey, Dress, you got to take some snaps and win this football game for us. And I don't want you looking over your shoulder or thinking anything different, except that this is your offense right now and you need to roll.
How great is it to have, Jonathan Adams still out there moving
and
grooving? Yeah.
Yes.
And not only that, but I believe Lee Morris was with the team as well, and now he's on your staff,
and
right?
Jared was there. There's a few of the old heads hanging around, but it was fun to see him when I got here. And obviously Jonathan knows my style and is a little bit familiar with what we were doing offensively, and he's really helped with the other receivers on as far as the installs and kind of trying to bring everybody up to speed in 2 or 3 days of practice.
You talk about like the simplicity of the offense and kind of just a big acronym I've always used in life is the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Is that kind of what you're implementing? I know sometimes we get caught up in the lure of, trips 32X freaking,
yeah. And I've never been that guy since I was with the Jets probably, right?
Well, I've always tried to understand why that you've shied away from that working for the Jets.
And so probably not the hardest part, but the thing that took a little work on my part was I tried to keep similar things where they had language already in this offense. It might have been the same, right? Curl, as you know, curl flat is curl flat.
Yep.
Concepts are concepts. We all run about the same concepts. The only difference comes if you ask 10 coaches how they call curl flat, you're going to get 10 different words. That's where the difference comes. And so, but I've tried to meet them a little bit in the middle. Some of the words that they used that I hadn't, but was the same concept, I'll use their words, so they're a little bit more familiar with it. But yeah, I'm like, if a play has more than 3 words, I kind of like I get nervous. All right.
Coach, obviously a lot of struggles in the RPO game last week. Was that more just because of like Bryce's skill set and maybe the guys are kind of overthinking everything, or was it just a combination of just Bryce Perkins has been probably an MVP front runner this year as well?
I do think Bryce is a good player, but our struggles last week came from our guys not doing their job, and not trusting what to do, I guess. I'm not trying to take anything away from Michigan or their game plan or anything like that. But they didn't do anything that we didn't know they were going to do. Their touchdowns came on stuff that we had practiced all week, and it was just like we need to trust what we're doing and fit where we fit, cover the guy that I'm supposed to cover, and we'd be all right. But I'm hoping that was just a fluke of a game, and we can get back on track. And kind of the first 3 weeks we were a solid defense. I'm not going to say we were good. We were solid. Last week we were very poor. And you can ask any of the guys on defense, and they will admit that. So we're looking to get back to our earlier form and continue to take steps and hopefully get some takeaways, because we're halfway through the season. We have no takeaways, which is not acceptable. We need to get the ball to our offense and put them in advantageous situations.
I know Coach Turner talked about in the post game presser just how gassed the guys were. I mean, Boogie's out there, definitely 50, 60 snaps or pretty close to that and whatnot. Regardless of the outcome of the game, the wins are always the most important thing. But what could you say to their effort being a man down? Obviously, UFL roster size is a little bit tighter than the NFL. Did you see any quit in these boys at all? And comparatively, like, isn't that one? Do you feel like that's one of the best parts about these leagues? Because if these guys take a play off and the NFL is looking, no one's going to be calling.
Yeah, there was no quit. They fought, and it is part of this league. Like being down a guy and the rosters are already thin to begin with, but I thought they stepped up and they fought, they competed. We just got to finish a little bit better. Tackle, we missed way too many tackles. Got to drive our feet on contact and make splash plays, really. Make negative plays for the offense. That will help us out a lot on defense.
As far as going back to their like RPO system and everything like that, with Zeke being out and a little bit more pressure on those other linebackers, do you really feel like they were kind of shorthanded and whatnot? Maybe was that more of like Zeke's assignment? I know he's been playing on the edge a decent amount, and then that kind of transitioned the responsibilities a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but no, like I don't want to put it on that. I just think it was kind of there were a lot of errors, and it happened in up front at the D line, it happened in the linebackers, and then it happened with the DBs too. So it's kind of like it was a revolving door of guys just not trusting it. And they were pressing a little bit. They were pressing a little bit too hard. Like, I need to go make a play. And it's like, no, we don't need that. We just need you to do your job. That's what this defense is built on. It's built on every 11 players doing their job. We're not trying to ask guys to do too much, not trying to ask guys to do 2 different things. Everyone has a single job to do, and that's what we need to get back to.
Coach, do you feel like losses like this, or even if you guys win 45 to the offense carrying the defense and whatnot, how do you do your film evaluation the next week? Do you just kind of maybe do a cut up of a couple plays and okay, like moving forward, or is that something you as a defense, you guys really beat into their heads about what they've done?
This week we didn't watch any film from the game after this game because it wasn't about us. it wasn't about stuff that we hadn't seen. Everything that Michigan did, we had practiced, we had known what they were doing. So it was like, there's no point in watching this film. They did what we said they were going to do, and they just beat us. So like, it wasn't any point of going back. And we came in on Monday and I showed them the goal sheet, and we didn't get any of our goals, which is why we played so bad. And I said, all right, we're done with that. Now we're moving on to Michigan or Birmingham. And that was it. Then we started watching Birmingham. We moved on because it was almost like you don't even need to say it. When we played so bad, we played so poorly, and it wasn't about, oh, we don't have answers. It was just, we need to do what we do. We need to get back to us and do what we do well.
Okay. Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Jarren, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.